Have a nice fire going. Finally got the wood stove all sealed up so I can actually have it open without a bunch of smoke billowing out. And this year, from all my woodworking projects, I have a bunch of sawdust. I keep adding a dash of that, and it seems to burn rather well. I have not known... Oh, this is soft ground. I have not known a more interesting time to live in than the present. And this particular present happens to be rather fun. I'm joking, because all times were a present of some time, because it never was the past. It was just then. It was just now then. Anyway. Sometimes it is difficult to tell the difference between the fictional battles being waged and the very real ones. Some of them are almost created to distract people or to push them in a direction. And the worst type is whenever a real, naturally occurring issue that is a legitimate issue that people need to deal with is covered over with fiction so that it can be presented in a different light to favor somebody else or be manipulated in some way. And it's always good to be able to just look past a lot of that and look at the actual issues at hand. A lot of the political factions really boil down to just, on different issues, monetarists or royalists, popularis or optimatus. You shouldn't be building your entire worldview around like just one group, because you might change depending on whichever context or whatever. But I do think that certain parties work better than others. For instance, in Garlemald, in Ilsebard, they have the Senate. And the Senate, or is it? Yeah, I think this is the Senate. It is mostly the political factions of Popularis versus Optimatus. The Optimatus are a bit too authoritarian, I guess I would say. The Popularis, on the other hand, are rather progressive, if that's the right term. Oh, this thing's getting warm. Wow. And so I really hope that the political landscape of Garlemald changes so that we have more Popularis in control instead of just Optimatus. But we'll have to see how that is. They have an emperor that's insane. In Authard, I'm not quite sure about the politics there. I haven't spent much time looking at that. They were like invaded and occupied for 30 years, 20 years, something like that. So there isn't quite as much politics to discuss. They're still kind of recovering from that. We have Vilbrand, Lenosha, Limsa, my home. And Vilbrand, Limsa was a thalassocracy and also a bit of a dictatorship. Merlwib Bloofswin has pretty much taken control. But, I mean, judging by how Limsa came to be, it is better than nothing, and it's better than it was, that's for sure. In many instances like this, I think I would be a royalist instead of a monetarist or a democracist. Because, in many ways, do Leminsons need a vote? Because the Admiral does a pretty good job of ruling the nation anyway. I have to agree. Like, if you have a good ruler, well, let them do their thing. At least that's my opinion of it. Although they have had issues with how they've dealt with the kobolds and other little micronations on Vilbrand. That Thing is burning up. Wow. It feels good, though. It feels good. So then we have Aldenard. Aldenard has Ulda, Gridania, New Charlian, the colony, which is gone. Ishgard, Dravania. The Dravanians, they're definitely not in the world stage. Hraesvelgr and all of them are just kind of happy to just live their lives, which is fine. And it's good for them. The Ishgardians tend to be a bit more expansionist, or at the very least, they think they're taking back what land they used to have or something. Turns out they didn't have it, but oh well. Thankfully, the government of Ishgard has changed its ways, so to say. The government of Ishgard happens to have a House of Lords and I believe a House of Commons, which is it's an all right way to organize things. It does seem that it favors the high houses, the lords and the ladies over the people of the broom, but in their instance, their past leader, Thordan, was not a very good guy. So maybe this was a good approach. And to be honest, the Lord Commander, who everyone loves, he most likely has the best future in mind for Ishgard and the surrounding nations. So that works out. And his people. No matter what family they came from. We have Ulda, which is a very good example of the royalist versus monetarist, which that's actually where the term comes from, is the divide in the syndicate of the royalists and the monetarists, because the Uldan government is much different. It is more of you literally pay your way in, and then you get to control things. Meanwhile, you also have to contend with the Sultana, which, in this instance, Nanamo Uinamo used to be weak. What's the point in having a royal family if they're weak and not going to run the country? That's my opinion, at least. But it appears that Nanamo has woken up to that over the past few years and has learned to actually take charge and fix the wrongs that she sees, which is good. Gridania, on the other hand, has almost no politics, because their entire politics really are, we like ourselves, we like doing what we're doing, we do it well with each other, aside from a few skirmishes with Wildwoods and Duskwights, not getting along, but whatever. And they generally hate everyone else that comes into their forest. And I can understand that, because their forest is really nice. But thankfully, a lot of people just respect them instead of trying to disrespect them, so it works out. And so Gridania's been opening up quite a bit. Charlian. Charlian technically is still in Eorzea, but it's usually just kind of off in the corner because they're off in their secretive little neutral island. But they used to have the Charlian colony in the Dravanian hinterlands, actually. And, well, I got into a bit of an argument with someone here lately because they're a new arrival to Eorzea. They don't seem interested in actually understanding the world that they've just found themselves in, but they still want to shit on someone. So instead of, they're getting through Heavensward, they started to shit on Charlian, saying that, they should have fought in the Battle of Silvertear Skies instead of, Battle of Cardinal. Because that's right, because they got them mixed up. They got the battles mixed up. And they were saying the Charlians shouldn't have hidden from the Garleans in the Battle of Cardinal. And it's, you idiot. The Charlians were gone 10 years ago. I lived through the Battle of Cardinal. I experienced it. I started my time in Eorzea in the 6th Astral Era. all these newer people starting in the 7th Umbral era, 7th Astral era, whatever, they don't know what they're dealing with. And now that kind of burned me up because the person was like, well, what has Charlene ever done? Oh, I don't know. Saved the world, developed modern technology. I almost left the free company because I didn't want to deal with that person, but oh well. I just blacklisted them and ignored them, and that worked out. And I'm still in my free company. Speaking of that, I have finally done something that I wanted to do for years, and I never really thought about actually doing it because it was such a big thing. You know, like having a gender transition on Earth, that was actually pretty easy in comparison to this. But I've been playing my Makote for 10 years, and I decided, you know what, it might have actually been a mistake to play Makote because I kind of fantasize about being really tall. Like, what if I was just like 7 feet tall, 6'5", something like that? So I made my character using a Fantasia that I had sitting around, just a potion you drink it and you get to rebuild your character. I made her into a beautiful Ellison. So now I'm a beautiful Ellison who is actually modeled off of Sidonia from Kurthus. Oddly enough, I've changed the design a little bit to make her more unique, and she's a little bit taller, but that is what mostly the design is from. But I'm really happy with this. I will not go as far as to say that picking Limsa Lamensa was a mistake. I do like Limsa Lamensa. I think I would have a lot of bad memories of Limsa Lamensa, but oh well. Also, my name fits better as an Ellison now. Because I'm not going to be changing my name. My name is in the credits of the fucking game because I stuck with the game through the worst time and contributed so much. So I can't change the name. Oh well. So that's pretty much it. That's all my political opinions. I guess we could talk about ancient Amarot, but we'll have to learn more about that. Speaking of more Eorzean things, I made this mask. It's my 4th version. It's a wood whaler mask, so I can look like I'm from Gridania or something. It has been a pain in the butt to carve these masks. I've been learning a lot about wood carving, but oh well. That's hot. Temperature's already gone up by a few degrees in the workshop. You know, I'm thinking this wood stove might work best for making the slightly chilly days not so chilly in here. Not necessarily to fend off the cold winter. That might be a bit too cold for the workshop. Although it definitely helps. Definitely helps. I like that I can have this running without any smoke at all. You know what? I should add a fireplace to my house. My house in Mist. I'm gonna go do that right now.